BlizzCon nonetheless. It was a little confusing. You know, it's a little easier just to say the WCS Global Finals. Two of the best players. Well, that goes without saying. I said WCS Global Finals. So, I'm still going to say it. Two of the best players in the entire world. The Mexican Terran, training in Korea for years now. He is definitely something special. And in the top right, the Protoss that Artosis is convinced will always win everything until SOS is. Classic. And of course, I got just enough time to intro this best of three, and there's a barracks on the map. And I don't know. I didn't catch these matches live, unfortunately. Like I caught BlizzCon live because I was at BlizzCon. So this is all new. I've just heard this is one to watch. So what's the best way to watch it? While also yelling at my computer screen for people to hear. So we'll take a look. SpeCial's going for the double gas. He is adding on that option for a factory. Now, will he build the factory in his base? All Classic knows right now is there's no barracks in the base. That's it. Now, that could mean so many different things. There is just the standard Reaper, build a factory at home. There's a reactored Cyclone. There's even some multiple Rax varieties that we have. SpeCial has scouted in. He sees there's no expansion. The SCV down on the low ground. The first Reaper coming up. Wait, what? Oh, I thought that was the factory. No. The factory built in a... Well, the idea is the probe comes back in, looks for the factory, doesn't find it. But the factory was at home all along. It's a bamboozle. In comes the first Reaper. The barracks is on its way home. How many kills does it get? The Zealot is here to make things very difficult. Oh my god, that's so unlucky for SpeCial. So the Reaper has two attacks. It feels like they fire at the same time. But they actually, there's a split second before the first and second pistol go off. The little Reaper guns. Which means there's a chance you get a half attack. And that actually kept him from killing two probes. If, like, he had a split second longer on the attack animation. Not a huge deal, but ideally you want to pick up a couple probes when you proxy a Reaper this close. The response out of Classic is going to be an Oracle. He's already got the Stargate on the way. This SpeCial scout it. He did. He knows it's coming. And he's going to get a good scout. Kill the probe that built the Nexus, but not going to be able to stop it from happening. He did have the cheeky bunker there. But that was mostly just for delay and the fact he could salvage it. Wasn't going to be a huge part of the game. At least I wouldn't be hanging my hat on that. The first Oracle. Where did it go? Am I blind? Is there an Oracle on the map? There it is. Okay, it's done now.
Good.
A little bit of worker-on-worker action. Some adept shots being eaten by the SCV, but a few too many, and actually will take it out. On the other side, SpeCial has decided to expand himself. He knows... Well, he scouted the tech. He saw the Stargate. He knows that there's probably not going to be... Well, he saw the expansion, and he saw the Stargate. Those are the two pieces of the puzzle. If he does both, there's no way he can have a significant ground army that can threaten him. That can threaten SpeCial. So, all he needs, like a Cyclone. He's going for a second clone. There's really nothing here that SpeCial will be taking damage from. He's even going to add on the Viking, which can be used for probe harass as well. It's not the most... Of course. For a couple years now, we played the Hidden Widow Mine. There was a whole mini-game to where you put your Widow Mine. You try to sneak it in, like, behind an orbital command dish or something so they can't tell. Nowadays, if you want to hide a Widow Mine, you just put it in a random location on the map where they should never be in every single time. The orchestra is my greatest enemy. There's barely anything happening. Okay. Oracle's coming in. Still takes 3 hits to kill an SCV, but does make it a little dicier for the Cyclones to be able to... Well, a single Cyclone could be targeted down by the Oracles, is the threat there. But, now, this is happening. No, he lifts up... Classic not able to lift in time, but now does he land? So... Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Meanwhile, the oracles come in, will immediately be repelled. The journey continues. The Viking will walk home. He's gonna try to draw things to the Widow Mine. He's on the way. In fact, the real mind game's here. The strategy, the tactics. The Widow Mine is in place. He's gonna lift up. The Widow Mine kills the Viking. He was gonna try to get the shots off to kill the Phoenix as well. The Phoenix lifts the Widow Mine mostly out of anger because there's nothing else that can shoot at it, but that's just one of those things like, Widow Mine, lift it! Out of reflex as opposed to really thinking about the situation. So that was one of the most awkward exchanges I have ever seen in 8 years of StarCraft, but the end result is Classic keeping all his units alive and SpeCial losing a couple of his. Not a huge deal, but right now every unit counts because both players are powering up. They haven't had the ability, they've had kid gloves on. They just didn't have the units to really deal critical damage. But now they're both speeding towards much higher unit production. SpeCial's got 3 Rex on 9. Classic on the other side, adding on 5 more gates. He's right around, how many probes are we looking at? Near 50 probes. Just a brute force army with Blink. So he's really hoping and relying on catching SpeCial before he gets too close to his base. He wants to get him before he's sieged up, before he has Widow Mines entrenched. The fact that Classic got these gates so quickly, usually wait till after 50 probes in a scenario like this, means he wants to do a preemptive strike. He wants to make sure SpeCial never gets close enough to threaten that third. 2 Stasis Wards and Immortal. Blink and +1 not done yet. SpeCial coming across the map. The Oracles find an opportunity to get damage. He tried to put a very efficient missile turret, but ended up not being covered from the angle where the Oracles just kind of walk in. Blink's not done. The Raven, a very important part of this, an awkward exchange. The anti-armor missile covers everything in Cheeto dust. The Raven survives. There's still a few more seconds on Blink. The force fields are good. The juggled back. The Raven is taken down, but the anti-armor missile will force this army back for now. He did see the Stasis Ward, right? The Stasis Ward could change everything. The attack is coming in. Blink nearly done. Revelation used. The scan. Down goes the Stasis. No longer a threat, but now the army itself is. The tank was unsieged. He's trying to come forward, isolate some of the Marines. They pick up, and they get out most of them. The Bio Army, +1 about to complete. A knife's edge here. A bad engagement from Classic could lose the game, but if SpeCial gets cleaned up, then it could go the other way. Once again, the force fields come out, but just enough space between them for the Bio to come back. It's a single tank, but it's starting to shell. There's no more pylons at this base. That means he has to warp in from a little further out. He has some more Stalkers coming up. Neither player going for upgrades. They're taking this very seriously right now. Just continued unit production. SpeCial behind this has finished his 3rd command center. If he could kill the 3rd of Classic, that would be huge, but the Blink Stalker's in range of the tank on the right side. The force field minimizing the surface area of the Bio units. The Blink Stalker count itself overwhelming, and he's going to chase down a lot of SpeCial's units. SpeCial bites back, but he just doesn't have enough on the field right now. Unless it's just the Stalkers, he doesn't really want to fight. He can't really blink. Oh, he blinks forward, but immediately SpeCial turns. Loses a medevac, but a couple Stalkers punch back. The exchanges continue to happen. A Liberator on the way across the map. An Observer spotted it. It looks like Classic should be in position to deal with it. He knows he doesn't want to go too far, potentially blinking into Widow Mines or Liberators or tanks. He bit off as much as he could potentially chew, and maybe a little bit more. But he ends up retreating and holding his 3rd, which is a very key part of this game. And you see, as soon as the pressure lets up, as the attack ends, they feel safe enough to get their upgrades. Armor on either side, nearly identical timings, a little bit slower for Classic, but of course he has Chrono Boost, so he can catch up on it. Now, this is a trademark SpeCial move. His special attack, if you will. He always has something ready, so if you move out, and you're a little out of position, then suddenly a Liberator's getting a dozen or more kills. A scan catches the army. He sees the upgrades as well. Still just +1. SpeCial moving into position. He knows. He stims forward, knowing the Stalker's out of position. No 4th base for you. 2 probes tried to get it, but didn't find it. A Liberator coming into the net. Classic splits off a handful of Stalkers. And we'll take it down. 2 probes died in this exchange, and they were both chilling at the 4th special, taking advantage of the opportunity. A triple drop into the main base. Just Stalkers aren't enough for this. The Forge, the Twilight, and another Forge are exposed. He's going to have to warp in more and more units, and just Stalkers alone aren't going to be incredibly great. The Forge picked off, denied on the +1 armor. But at the same time, Classic finds a medevac. I'd say it's definitely worth it to get that armor pickup. Stopping Artosis upgrades are key for Terran victory. On the other side, though, there's a Warp Prism doing counter damage. He hasn't really killed too many, if any, SCVs. The Warp Prism being dealt with by the reinforcements of SpeCial. In fact, gunned down and taken out. A single Marauder, he just has to have something. Even though he has a sensor tower, that one little bit of extra vision. This gives SpeCial the opportunity. He's going to come back in. He knows there's not a 4th base. I don't know if he scanned the bottom right corner. He doesn't know about it yet. But he knows Classic really wants to be getting a 4th base soon. Classic has gone for other forms of splash damage. He's got Disruptors on the way. Doesn't feel nearly comfortable enough to get Colossi, which are really only something they're more of a closing unit than a defensive unit, because if a Terran has a good economy, they can easily overwhelm them. Disruptors, on the other hand, are a bit more of a mixed bag. Oh, a Stasis Ward. I'm not sure if he saw the Stasis or he just decided only one Marauder could do the job. But they continue to posture on the map. An aggressive defense. The Stalkers find the army. This base is not done yet. It cannot recall. SpeCial continuing to move forward. The Oracle going to spot this out. Should be able to tag it. Well, will go down, but gets the revelation for now. SpeCial with 2 strong groups of units. Without an overwhelming force of Stalkers, then the Bio units will just kill them. I'm not sure if those Disruptors were spotted out, but SpeCial realizes there's a 4th base. He also knows, yes, he also knows about the base to the north. He has 4 of his own. He's established it. Looks like he just landed it here. Should be making a planetary soon. Maybe he gets greedy. Goes for an orbital. Still more posturing. We're still at that stage of the game where neither player is maxed out. So we don't have the late game units. We just have a lot of mid-game units. Which, if you get a too far out of position, you can easily be overwhelmed because you don't have that late game tech to fall back on. Classic is coming in, looking for the blind side. Not quite gonna find it, but the Stalkers are making forward. On the other side of the valley are tanks. SpeCial, a single Liberator. Always something. Looks like the Disruptor not able to find too many kills. The Liberator will be taken out. 6 probes went with it. Still a brute force. There's no Archons. There's no Templar. There are some Templar in the prisms. Storm is completed. SpeCial has to know that is a threat. Does he have a Ghost Academy? He does not have a Ghost Academy done. How many starports? Just a single starport. So he doesn't have that late game tech. Disruptors, the splits, good for now. 1 Disruptor left off cooldown. The Bio units making their way to the bottom right. It is quite an exposed base. Classic isn't married to this, though. He has a 4th to the north. Fleet Beacon on the way. 3-3. But SpeCial's already finishing his 2-2.
Now I have your attention.
Bio here. Classic probably just going to run the probes. On the other side, the Storms come in! He might take a base, but his army takes a beating. Classic losing a lot of units in this exchange still. Oh my god, the Storm's devastating. He brings his way forward, but can he capitalize on this? The base will be gone. 11 probes with it. The Storms clear out a lot of the tanks in Bio. SpeCial doesn't have that much at home. He has a lot in the mail in production. He's trying to come up the ramp. More charge lots to the front. Does he use his Purification Nova? Looks like it hasn't been targeted down. There's some more Storm at the back. SpeCial retreating. Stutter stepping. The charge lots trying to close the distance. The Warp Prism in the front, but isn't exposed. He can't get close enough. Another Disruptor shot. 2 more Marauders. A Storm, but down goes the Templar to the tank fire. SpeCial on the opposite side. There are 2 Immortals, and that's too many. Classic doesn't want to overextend. He still has a lot of strong. You don't want to be losing Immortals. You don't want to be losing Disruptors here. The Charge Lots and Stalkers are pretty expendable if he can zone out for long enough. Tries to get greedy, goes for the Orbital, doesn't find it. SpeCial looking for the counter flank. Recall is an option, but it takes time. A Storm wards away a lot of the Bio. 4 medevacs there. More medevacs to the right side. Classic, does he go for the recall? He realizes the Bio is coming through, but he might still be able to claw his way out of this corner. He tries to engage the northern flank. The Immortals zoning out the army to the south. The Bio working its way through. There are no Storms here. A Disruptor, he could try to shotgun it. He just overwhelms the forces. Warps in some more Stalkers. Juggles back the Immortal. SpeCial on his way forward. Where did you come from? The boys on the Trail of Tears. I think those are the ones that actually came from this command center, which is now on fire, just like this game. Classic continuing the aggression. SpeCial down to 138 supply. Did not find the resources or the space to get 3-3 upgrades. But he does have the base to the south, which I don't think Stats has scouted yet. Oh, he has. He has. But just didn't have any time to split things off. A casual Templar will float its way to the other side, and we get a breather. More Templar in the Prism where they're not exposed to EMP, and also, of course, can get in those pesky angles the Bio never wants to see him. Always a double drop coming out of SpeCial. Stats comes back to defend. He's still on 4 bases. SpeCial's been hammering him. Usually as a Protoss, you're the one with Warp Prisms and Charge Lots able to keep a Terran contained, and he's done some of that. But SpeCial has done just as much, if not more. Even a probe out on the map because the map is dark and full of Terrans. Try to light it up however you can. We're getting into the late game now. Both players kind of licking their wounds. Starting to realize I'm mining out. I can't afford to be losing too many more units before I get to this tech. Ghost Academy, Gravitic Drive, for the Warp Prism speed. Get those Templar into range. This is actually a very strong army. Not a single Archon this game, I might point out. Probes, not a great counter to this much Bio. He decides to fight, but he's gonna regret it. The Storm's coming forward. Big one's odd to the Bio army, but there are so many tanks. Immortals, a good counter, but are they good enough? The Concave, not quite amazing. He gets a Storm onto the tanks, but they're still shelling. The Immortals are evaporating. SpeCial still has some Bio. It's in autumn colors right now. Might need to go to rehab after this, but it's gonna take some probes with it to the grave. Classic tried to beat his way through, but SpeCial held. The tank count, a lot of them bruised and battered, but they can be repaired by the SCVs. Continuing 31 probes, in comes the recall. Does he have a boost? Wait. Okay, he screwed that one up a little bit. The thing is here, SpeCial has tanks. The big risk with tanks is taking a bad fight. Even with these supplies, the army supplies are still not the end of the world here for Classic. It's not over yet. Oh, if he could get +3 armor. If he could get +3 armor. If he could get +3, that Marine wants to help. It wants to help for 3 seconds. This is huge, especially against tanks and that splash damage. He finishes the armor. SpeCial's still holding on to his economy. He has his production. The one thing he's lacking, well, only 2 medevacs. Okay, 3 medevacs with this army. Classic is cornered. But that's when a Protoss is most dangerous. This Marauder just chilling. A couple Storms and Immortals from the wrong angle. And Archons have approximately 50,000 shields, so... Are there any EMPs? The Charizard's looking for an opportunity. The Storms have to be I don't know, incredible! They're good, they're great. The Bio evaporated. There's nothing. Wait, it's just tanks. You can't just have tanks. You need more than just tanks. The Immortal drops, drawing some unfriendly fire from the other tanks as well. And suddenly, just like that, the tanks are all but gone. SpeCial, maybe even the Select All Army hotkey being used there in such a panic because he's starting to realize, wait a second, I just don't have enough units to hold the line. Remember, the supply's a little misleading because SpeCial has 30 more SCVs. That's exactly the fight that Classic needed. SpeCial spent so many minutes building up those tanks. But out on the map, exposed, clumped up, flanked from different angles, Warp Prism dropping in Immortals. Are there any Templar with Storm? There are no Templar on the field. There's going to be one more here, but it's a long way off having the Storm. SpeCial now has a handful of Ghosts. There is a Planetary to the south, but against... Well, actually, how many Immortals have been lost? 10 Immortals this game, 15 Templar. Scans across the board, SpeCial realizing the lay of the land. It looks like he's scouting for bases here. The Workers, very valuable scouts, even 19 minutes into the match. Both these players playing their hearts out. Even no fighting, doesn't matter. There's still so much to be done. SpeCial looking for an opportunity. The thing is, even when he loses a fight, he can rebuild so quickly. Because he has that economy, he has those bases. Whereas Classic, well, now he's back to 62 probes, but he had to spend time rebuilding. He had to get his bases back up. He's been dealing with drops all over the place. He does not want to take any chances. The bio doesn't get the first class treatment in the medevacs, but it will get away. Adepts. Well, this is unfortunate. And they have enough upgrades to two-shot SCVs. SpeCial only has +2 armor. Maybe a bit of an oversight. Maybe tried to start. Didn't quite have the minerals or gas. Adepts getting behind Classic, working with what he got. The Adepts so far have been quite useful. These ones, well, they're getting there. Where's that high-sec auto-tracking? Observers, still 3 observers on the map. This one not as useful. Stats with plenty of Templar. The tanks are unsieged! He can't siege up like that. Okay. The storm kind of wards SpeCial away. Picks up the tanks. Risky business. The medevac, one of them taken out, but not all of the tanks, at the very least. SpeCial loses 11 SCVs, but there's a Liberator on the other side. Classic will clean it out. Oh, 2 observers being found. Only a single observer on the map. He's going to have to start sending out probes. Stats starting to mine out. I mean, not stats. Every Protoss is stats. I just keep thinking stats in my head, okay? I'm sorry. I can't help it. I just can't get stats off my mind. But this is Classic. Oh, the Templar coming in. The storms from the prism raining down, but the tanks as well. Gonna keep the army back. And another Liberator gonna force more Stalker warpins. Oh god, the Templar. A great angle. The EMP, I'm not sure if it connected, but the storm definitely got off before the tanks were sieged up. Classic still beaten back. The bio is on the chase. Looking for the prism, looking for the Templar. This might be the death push out of SpeCial. These Classic cannot lose these bases. That's it. Once again, deja vu. SpeCial sieging up his tanks in this location. Well spread here. He has Ghosts in the mix. That's a big part of this. Can he feed back the Ghost, maybe? Does he go for it? They're all near full energy, which means... Oh, the EMP connects before feedbacks can get off. The fadeaway there. 8 probes died. Probably a Liberator somewhere in the mid. It looks like Classic cleaned it up. Another Liberator coming up SpeCial, being very careful. He's died on this hill, quite literally. Several times now. There's nothing else on the map. He's all committed to this push. The EMP is looking for an opportunity. Classic coming in from the back. Does he see? I think SpeCial just saw the prism. Not entirely sure. The scans forward. Finds the army at the front. The storms. Oh, that's such a great angle, but can he get the storms off before the tanks kill the Templar? Or the EMPs land? Also important concerns. SpeCial kind of sticking his neck out a little bit. Starting to leapfrog the tanks forward. The tanks are unsieged. This might be the opportunity for Classic. He comes in from the back to fight for everything! Incredible storms! Category 5! Raining down! Gets on top of the tanks! The Liberators still helping out. Enough bio survives the onslaught that he's able to hold the line. A couple tanks at the back. Classic, not the route he was looking for. Another storm comes in, but there are still more tanks. The charge lot's going to eat a lot of damage, but they have to run around this angle. SpeCial just had too much, despite the incredible storms. The tanks held the line. The spread was good enough. He didn't quite clear out the flank to the right side. And while SpeCial will be forced to retreat, it still seems like a victory. Especially considering how comfortable he's been. He's barely had anything to deal with on his side of the map. A couple of Adepts, no Warp Prisms. Classic has been struggling to stay alive, while SpeCial has been struggling to kill him. Still Liberators, 146 to 117 supply. A planetary still, like, you don't want to be losing any units right now as Classic. If you can get this for free. The repairs come through. Trying to get on the SCVs, but the bio comes down. This could be the final sort. Like, he gets the planetary, but at what cost? He's going to lose so many charge lots. More charge lots than the cost of a planetary, for sure. A Liberator killing probes. A Liberator killing probes! The remix. I don't... Classic starting to crumble. He's even though he still has probes, there's just not that many mineral patches left to mine from. SpeCial landing another command center. I believe that's his main. In flight now. A few storms can start to turn the tides. But tides, not huge when you have to deal with this typhoon. I could have just said cyclones, but there are no cyclones on the map. Make a weather joke. Seven more probes die. A single Marine coming in. 2 Marines. Buddy system. Actually kills the pylon. Going for the probes. Of course, is shift-clicking him. Classic's last gasp. If he can cut off the reinforcements, isolate the bases, and then crush the army, yes, this is a wish list. But if he can do that, there's maybe a path to victory. But the clock is running. SpeCial's on the other side of the map. The army is not here. SpeCial realizing, okay, already pulling back his rally point, pulling back his units. He knows. So where's the recall? Where's the recall? No, he goes forward. Dark Templar, of course, being added in. Desperation Templar. SpeCial kills. Well, he's pretty much got the other base for free. Trying to come up the ramp. The storms hit more zealots than they hit bio units. Classic trying to manage so much at once. SpeCial still has plenty of units. Now, damage is being done. How many Templars survived? The tanks going to work. More probes massacred. SpeCial's coming home. And while it'll be bruised and battered, he lifts his buildings. How BM? Doesn't he know the game is over? But the production is on the fly. The EMPs land on all the Templars. 0 energy across the board. There are only 5 Templar, all 5 blanketed with the electromagnetic pulse. Is that the closer? What else is there left to do? Well, he's now trapped Classic in his main base, which is a weird way to say it, but Classic desperately. That probe was going a weird direction. It gave away the base. And with that, I mean, the Templar are nowhere near having another storm. Oh, GG time. Oh. Those Stalkers couldn't get much more dead than that. Even the bio stimming in now. The recall can get the Templar, gets the Immortals. There's no storm. He says, oh, Templar, but wait, I just EMP'd those. I'm fine. Charge Lot's still dangerous. Classic uses his last minerals on a Charge Lot warping. GG! SpeCial takes game 1. And well, Classic, he made big moves. He had good fights, but it never felt like there was one moment when the tanks got routed early out on the map that felt like maybe Classic's opportunity, but it still felt like SpeCial's game to lose most of the time. Now, it's very hard to actually close it out. 2 or 3 storms, and then suddenly
replay. Upload it.
Well, good thing that's what Blizzard did. How kind of them. We're going into game number 2. It's on Blue Shift. And the Mexican Terran leading over the GSL Super Tournament champion. 1-0. Is he gonna build a barracks in his main? Doesn't he know only weak Terrans do that? Classic is sending out a probe. He does not have savory intention. Well, is he I can't.
Now I have
the
your
way
attention.
he's sending this probe, it kind of looks like he might be scouting, as opposed. What? No, never mind. He's still building a barracks out of it. But the whole meta, the whole mind game, is not so much where you build the barracks. It's just that since they don't know where you built the barracks, they have to react in a certain way. There's a lot of uncertainty, especially for the Protoss, but also for the Terran when it comes down to this. Like, there's options if you've watched SOS versus Maru, there are definitely options for countering. A lot of Protosses, there are two types of Protosses. There are shield Protosses, players who have a tendency to want to play defensive, work with a lot of information. I mean, I'm not saying they won't cheese or all in, but they have a tendency to go for more probes, more tech, continue quickly expanding, stuff like that. Shield Protosses like Stats and Classic and Neeb. And then you have the YOLO Toss, who decide the best defense is a good offense. He finds the Rex. That's actually pretty good for Classic. He realizes it's not on his side of the map. But the YOLO Toss, like Has in SOS, who just decide, no, I'm not going to sit here and take it. I'm going to dish it out. Going with Blink Stalkers and One Bases and Warp Prisms and Cannons and Shield Batteries. And, well, and anything that at the end of the day, makes you say, you are why people hate Protoss. Is the biggest factor. Once again, the Reaper gets in. Any kills? 0 kills. The Adept was there to block it. I've never actually seen this before. Is someone blocking. I didn't even realize you could block with a single pylon. Everybody's seen the pylons blocking on this side. They've seen. Old news. But Classic realizing, yeah, sure, same location. The probe gets up, gets a very good scout. Seeing the command center timing is really big. It means he can go down and take the base. It's gonna take a little bit of time here. Now what? He has a Stargate. He's going for the Oracle again. A lot of the shield Protosses have kind of decided this is the way to go about it. Probe goes down. Reaper comes and hunts it. Now, the risk of a Stargate, it's very fragile. It can do plenty of damage, but for example, if he just flies into a Widow Mine, and Special hasn't tried to be very coy with this Widow Mine. He just kind of put it in. This is a super... The mine game is it's so obvious to put a Widow Mine here to try to intercept that it might work. Because Protosses are usually expecting you to be more clever. So the big brain plays are the... yeah, not even going to risk it. Classic knows that Widow Mine could be lurking anywhere. Well, if there is one, that is. The Reaper comes in. Very important scout. Sees the Robo. Realizes it's not going to be a huge commitment, like immediately to a Twilight and go for a bunch of Glaive to Depth, stuff like that. He's playing it safe. Now, of course, the risk here is Cloak Banshee. I think that's partially what Classic is preparing for. He's got a Phoenix on the way. A couple Oracles should give him enough Revelation, but if he's not in position with detection, it doesn't matter if you have enough energy for Revelation if you're in the Terran base and a Cloak Banshee is in yours. Kind of a middling shield battery here. This is... You might attack me with Cyclones. But also, I might need to keep my probes alive. The Oracle's actually off the map. I can't even zoom in on them. Stasis ward. So just projecting some defense here. Oh, the Widow Mine. He's going to see it, bro. Does he go for it? He gets it. The Cyclones come down and knock down an Oracle. But they use their lock on. There's a few more seconds of cooldown. Does he get the lock? No. Here's the Twilight. I would argue a little late for Classic here. If you try to defend against everything, you end up not having a good enough defense against anything. He hasn't really gotten great vision of what Special is doing. He wanted to make sure he got these basic units out. Now, Special on the other hand isn't he has this is I mean, actually Classic might be very ready for this, because this is the best attack that Classic could hope for. This kind of low amount of units, very technical units like Cyclones and Banshees and a siege tank. He actually has the units to deal with it. Now the Banshee coming into the main, and is there detection? There will be in a moment. He gets a few kills, but he's pulling him out of position. The Stasis Ward is at the front. and he triggers it with an SCV. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but he scans, sees the way is clear. Oh, classic! Immortals don't shoot banshees. He essentially select all armied. Oh no, if he was in position, if he was on the top of the ramp, but he brought everything back into the main. When you're eating Widow Mines with oracles to try to do friendly fire, probes trying to come out, he actually unburrows and almost successfully gets another shot out. But a huge mistake out of Classic to commit, like, you don't need 6 Stalkers, a Sentry, and an Immortal to kill a Banshee. You bring 3 Stalkers back. And that way you might have enough to defend the front. And he still did. Like, you see, he still had the units to defend. But he loses probes. He lost a lot of key units. He lost both Oracles, a Sentry. He's still forced onto this low tech. Immortals, Stalkers. He wants to have those Sentries alive. He wants to be able to maybe work towards Templar Archives or Robo Bay. But now he has to just continue building gateway units. It's not so much like SpeCial was never planning to kill him with that. Not unless he was being ridiculously greedy. Maybe he goes for a lot of Stargate units. But able to kill that much in that position. SpeCial doesn't care about his Cyclones anymore. He's going bio. He's got 3 CCs. He's got barracks coming up. We've got 1-1 on the way. I might be overselling it. I'm looking at it. I might be overselling it a little bit. That Classic is down and out. He's not down and out by any means. But once again, he's going to be in a position where he has to try to beat back SpeCial's attacks. And eventually, he's going to grind you down. Last game, it took 20-plus minutes, but he ground him down. In this game, SpeCial is building up. And what can Classic do to attack? Maybe a Warp Prism, but he wants to keep building Immortals because he knows tanks are a threat. So without a Warp Prism and without really enough economy to do big charge lot counterattacks, he's once again going to be on the back foot. Charge on the way, should be chronoed as soon as possible. Now this is just a bio army. Oh, beautiful scan. He knows, well, the Observer I think caught the tail end of this, yeah. Almost skirts in between where the Observer and the Watchtower was, but SpeCial already opening up options. And Blue Shift is not a large map. There are different lanes of attack, almost like we're playing a MOBA. The top lane, the mid lane, and the bot lane. Now, there are ways to get between them through the little jungle here, if you would. But early on, it's especially difficult to move between these areas. If a strong attack comes from the top lane, then the bot lane, well, you might be overcommitting there. And open up an attack on that base. And you see SpeCial. Wow, that was greedy. He's like, no, I'm going for it. Classic didn't overcommit back to his third. He's playing zone defense. You see here, he doesn't have the Watchtower, but he has the Observers in place. A Phoenix. You gotta light up the map. You gotta get as much vision as possible. It's still uncomfortable, you can tell. Like, he's really trying to get this vision out here. Sees the scan, moves the obs. But, and if he can continually scout this attack, now, does he overcommit? He sees the bio to the north, the attack to the south. Does he have the units he needs in order to deal with this? Some force fields, not quite perfect, a lot of Widow Mines. Now, here's the thing, on Blue Shift, you can actually see Widow Mines really easily. Because the contrast with the light color versus the dark color. Good defense to the north, and good defense to the south as well. This Classic is able to block on both fronts, but now what? He's opened up a little bit of opportunity, and there it is. Storm. The splash damage is required. Once there's enough bio, once SpeCial's looking at like 2-2, he's got 170, 180 supply. Well, you need some splash damage, because those bio units are so cost-effective, mano a mano. How many Observers? He's got 4 ops. I'm sure he'd love to have 7. Classic, are there some Templar in there? Oh, that's... Oh, and then the Marine comes in? No, that's a charge plan. It's okay. Does he have any Templar on the field yet? He has 4 Templar. He's charging up that Storm. SpeCial is when you're already building Ghosts, and then they've got Storm on the way, you're in a good spot. The scans come forward. He sees the army, sees there's no Templar. I love this. The block on the 4th. He's going to be gunning for this 4th base and doing his best to zone out this one. Doesn't quite... Well, he's at 177 supply, But I don't know if we'll see Special come in until 2-2. Classic is at... Well, he's actually only got the armor upgrades. +2 armor. Okay, if it's only armor upgrades. If it was weapons and armor, a 2 upgrade advantage, Special. Taken out. I'm not sure what was in there. Did he lose Templar? No, that was Charge Lance. He still has his Templar. The precious, precious Templar. Everything rides on them. And honestly, well, the counters are already out. Special has plenty of Widow Mines to zone. Liberators, Ghosts. Once he gets 2-2, he's going to be looking for a fight. Another Widow Mine connects. Oh, well, looking for a connection. The Storms could be devastating. Oh, God, the Sentry's dying to Widow Mines. Kind of a... I don't know if Special left that there intentionally, or if it just kind of happened to be in a fortuitous spot, but it ends up being a great part of this. No, you cannot. You shall not pass, my friend. Well, that goes both ways, says Classic. Moves on with his life. Right? The Storms could be huge. Special coming in. He comes back. Doesn't look like he lost even any units. He has a ton of medevacs. That EMP a little late to the party. But this one could land. Oh, those are going to be huge. Nails the Templar. The only Storms are in the Prism now. Looking for an opportunity. The Archon should go down. Fading it forward a little bit. The Blink Stalker zoning out on the side, but that's a scary Terran army. Big Storm. Oh, he gets the Prism! He got the Prism! All the Templar inside! All his eggs in one proverbial basket! And Special guns that basket out of the sky with a vengeance. The Widow Mines are in position. Special is up and upgrade. There's no splash damage left. EMP is going to blanket the board. The Stalker's so exposed on their own, only a handful of Immortals. Immortal's going to be taken out. Really? Really? What? A handful of charge. I'd say it might be a momentary reprieve. Ghost dying very dramatically. Divas as always. A lot of the medevacs out of energy and almost out of life, but not quite there yet. But Classic, like you do not want to be warping in charge left. Does he have any temper? He needs to. He only has Zealots and Stalkers. Special. Terran through everything. There's no splash damage. There's nothing to stop the wave of Terran from washing over him. He's gonna try to drop charge lots. So what is that gonna? That's nothing. Yeah, I mean, maybe this is a little ambitious. Oh God, oh God. 15 probes have gone down. Just innocent bystanders, essentially. A single DT. Hey, this looks like my games. DT's being warped in. Time is up. There's nothing, there's no light at the end of the tunnel here. It just gets darker and darker. And that's why we have the Templar, but Special. Taking 2-0 over Classic. And honestly, it didn't really look that, like Classic had some moments where it looked like he was doing well. But it was Special who was singing, well, writing this story. The micro on point. The bio unit slipping and sliding past. This is happening. And Special takes it. Well, whenever Classic decides he wants to end his BlizzCon dreams, is when Special will take this. Anytime now. Well, he's got 4 Archons, and Archons are really good. But armor and the armor upgrades only affect 10 of their 360 potential HP. The shields there. There's no energy. I mean, Classic. You can't blame him. You can't blame him. Kind of coming to terms with it. As 183 to 30 supply. Gonna pre-scan for DTs. He's still going. GG. Special takes it all the way to the end and will secure his spot. His spot in the BlizzCon Live event. I think something, and now, once again, I said at the beginning of the series, The thing that SpeCial does really well, just like TY, and of course, once again, they practice together all the time, is, well, it's not obvious to his opponent, but what he's trying to accomplish is obvious to the spectator. As in, I've got to drop up here, I've got to drop down here, I'm trying to poke and see if he gets out of position without overcommitting, and then, if I see an opportunity, I go for it, but otherwise, I use this map control to build up at home. And then eventually, when he gets closer to 200 supply, like 150, 170, that's when, instead of just a poke, he starts really stabbing at him. And in one or two of those attacks, like, you're a little out of position, he just runs you over because the macro does not slip. At essentially the end of the game, he still has 245 minerals. Like, I'm just going to go back a little bit. We're just going to do, like, speed through. This is as he's maybe going through the BlizzCon. The minerals. We're looking at the minerals. And this is with 2,500 minerals a minute, and he never gets over 500. Never slipping. I mean, I know he was just winning through there, but never slipping on that. And that's the unsung part of it. If you don't look at the first person, you can't really see how much time is committed to all the other things. Just the flashy micro, you might think like that's everything they're doing, but there's just so much more. The depth, the APMs, the drop, and that really, especially for Terran, is key, because Terran is hurt the most by a lack of production. If they don't, like, their units get queued up, if they get supply blocked, they have to wait for the supply block to end. They can't immediately warp in. You just got to start producing again. So you have to be so consistent while doing that micro against so much splash damage. And it makes it look super strong when you do it right, and when it loses, sometimes it can look incredibly weak. But SpeCial, the opposite of that. Obviously, enough Doritos were in the chat to support Juanito. He beats Classic 2-0, and pretty decisively as well.